Now, coming to you live from Detroit, your host, Claudreen Jackson.
Hello, 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 and thank you so much for tuning in to the Claudreen Jackson Show. I am your host, Claudreen Jackson, inviting you to spend some time with us as we are going to discuss some things about education. But first I want to explain to you about the Claudreen Jackson Show. I'm celebrating, it is my brand new show. Now, I also have an old show. It's called A Spoonful of Comfort, and you can find A Spoonful of Comfort on Google, YouTube, and the WHPR TV website. You can also read my blog, A Spoonful of Comfort. All of this inspired by my son, who is handicapped by autism. So I tell my age because I want people to know that you can reach your 80s and still have life in you. But I was about to retire from public activity. Last year it was on my mind, and this year I was thinking of retiring. But this young man, Prophet Blaine Irving, who is my show producer and promoter, gave me a different way of thinking. So here I am on an inaugural show event in my 80s. I am so thankful to be at the Detroit Historical Museum, which never would I have even imagined that I would be at such a venerable institution being able to take my show. Not only is it a venerable institution, but some of my husband's memorabilia is here in the Motor City Music Lab. So it's proof that God is still working miracles in the world. And speaking of God, let us start with a prayer. Dear Lord, guide me, help me, show me the way. Lord, we humbly ask that you give us the comfort of your presence and the confidence to trust in you, even when the outcome is uncertain. In fact, that's when we really need to trust in you when the outcome is uncertain. And we are going through so many uncertain outcomes now, Lord, that we really need you. Lord, please calm my mind, bring peace to my heart, strengthen my spirit to carry on, lay a path for me, and help me to follow your way as I move forward. And Lord, give your angels charge over the watchers and my guests, and please bestow your blessings on them. Keep us safe in your presence and enfolded in your love. Amen. Before I introduce my guests, I also want to thank the people who have donated to the Purvis Jackson Foundation. The Purvis Jackson Foundation helps lower income children with handicaps. Purvis Jackson Jr. is 48 now. He still cannot read, he cannot write, he cannot speak, and he cannot live independently. And he's not interested in doing any of those activities because he's on the lower end of the autism spectrum. So for the people who could find it in their heart during their troubled times to donate to the Purvis Foundation, we wrote you a poem. If you make a donation to the Purvis Foundation, whether it be large or small, we pray that God's love comes down to you from above because you are the best people of all. If you make a donation to the Purvis Foundation, you're helping handicapped children in need. So you can be proud of yourself because you have already done a good deed. A donation to the foundation will help the situation. Because we can't do everything doesn't mean we can't do something. So a donation to the foundation will help the situation. We will do what we can do, and handicapped children can get help from me and you. And if you want to make a donation to the Purvis Foundation, we will greatly appreciate you. P.O. Box 04422, Detroit, Michigan, and the information is on the screen for you. If you want to make a donation and can't, I understand. I've been in that position too. So thank you so much. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, I'll be introducing you to two very remarkable people that have been a part of my life and a part of the educational system in the city. And stick and stay and don't go away. We'll be right back.
A special thank you to our sponsor, the Detroit Historical Museum, for making this show possible. Discover the vibrant tapestry of Detroit's past and enjoy the treasure trove of Detroit's rich history where the stories of Detroit come to life. Plan a trip and experience it for yourself. Tickets start at just $10, so don't miss out on a once-in-a-lifetime experience. For more information, visit DetroitHistorical.org or call 313-833-1805.
Thank you for sticking with me. I really thank you for the privilege of your time. Now I can introduce my two very special guests to you. These are people that have been instrumental in achievements in the educational system for years. So let me first introduce Dr. Bob Bryant. Dr. Bob Bryant is the only teacher who has ever taught all three of my children. But other than teaching my children, he has many other accolades that we will have him explain to you, so, because I might not get them right. I also want to introduce Diane Martin, who was with the school the psychology department. And she's going to tell us about some of the special education services in Detroit Public Schools. You know, teachers in schools get such a bad rap that I wanted to shine a spotlight on two remarkable people in the educational system, because there are the remarkable people in the educational system. So first of all, Dr. Bryant, would you share some of your background with us?
It would be definitely an honor. And first of all, let me thank you, Claudreen, for inviting me to participate on this show. It's certainly an honor. You're right, we go way back a few years, and I've had all of your three of your children, and most delightful children, and her husband, Purvis Jackson, who always came and talked to the children when I extended an invitation. You would always make sure he got to the school.
Right.
But just just quick background about myself. I am I won't say former educator, I'll say I worked in the schools and outside of the school at the state level. For some 45 plus years. I served as a school principal, teacher, education consultant for many years for three different districts, Wayne County School District, the Flint School District, as well as in some other areas. And I am a Vietnam veteran. And I had many opportunities to work in a capacity that impacted children.
Were you on the Highland Park
Yes,
school?
I was for 21 and a half years. I started off at Highland Park, where we met.
Right,
I started out.
right.
And I was there as a teacher and educator, and I left in 1992, and I went to Flint as principal of Beecher High School in Beecher, which is a suburb of Flint.
Right.
And as a high school principal. In 1998, I was recruited to come to Detroit, where I continued my career at the Loving Elementary School. And that's where I met Ms. Martin. She was my psychologist. I was the principal there. So in 2005, I retired. I didn't retire to retire. I retired to do something else.
As did I.
It's like you did. So I became a statewide leadership coach.
Right.
where I began to work with other administrators, both elementary, middle school, psychology, teachers, etc., to make them to.
And I am so proud of you because young black boys need to see someone successful who's not a singer or an athlete. They need role models of people in the educational system who show them
Sure.
how far you can get using your brain. Because we all don't have brawn
That's right.
or speed.
No, I did.
But thank you so much. So I also want to give Ms. Martin a chance to explain to us about the psychology services. I want to say that in Detroit Public Schools, the special ed department has a lot of ancillary services to help students such as my son. They have speech therapy, occupational therapy, social work, psychology, and this is things that a lot of people don't know about Detroit Public Schools. These are the services that they provide to students who have special needs.
right.
So can you continue and explain some of that?
Well, yes. I was a school psychologist that was referred to Loving Elementary School. At that particular time, we would have 3 to 4 schools. The psychologists, the social workers, speech therapists, language consultant, nurses, just a whole array of very supportive programs and services. And so that is when I began to work with Loving. At the same time, I was working with post-middle school, and then I was doing some, as we would call it, emergency support intervention in some of the high schools.
Right.
But the department, specialized services, is very, very important to the support system.
Yes.
That is so very necessary.
Yes.
Then, because I retired in 2013, then, now, and especially now, both this service program, specialized services, that's what we were called, was just so important, and it was a team that worked with the individual schools. So the teachers, the administrators in the schools, we were all as one working together, and we needed to work together.
And the students and parents
Oh, yes,
needed
absolutely.
your help. Now, did you do testing of students?
I did evaluations, we did assessment, did evaluations, set in on IEPs,
Yes.
and made recommendations in which what the next step should be, and or to see what other additional services that was required and needed, okay? And we also had the opportunity, on which I had the opportunity, because we were doing treatment intervention at that time too. So some of the some services that had not been clearly identified but might have been very helpful to the schools, those programs was added. And that's how I ended up working with the school, and then it later became part of our entire department on having a grief and loss counseling program
yes,
attached.
yes,
Okay,
yes.
and the thing about supportive services and the way that sometimes we would move around from one school to another. Usually we would stay with one school about 3 years, okay? And then let's say another psychologist who was well trained or might have an interest may pick up on that school, but the ideology and the philosophy
Yes.
of giving to the children and finding the best alternative to their growth was very, very important. And I have to say I was very blessed, and I was very fortunate to be, when I was at Loving, Dr. Bryant just had a team of helpers at his school, and we worked together. We worked together in setting up programs, and he was very good in connecting with the community. other resources in the community that wanted to see the school, the community, and the children, of course, to thrive, and have good services.
I appreciate that. Now, I wanted to ask both of you about what are the challenges and opportunities in education. But first of all, I want to explain how we came together. I retired from teaching in '03, and I wrote a book about my son who is handicapped by autism. And I already knew Dr. Bryant. I did not know Diane Martin. And she came to one of the autism conferences. She bought my book, scheduled me to come to the school where she was working, Kyden School, and for Mother's Day for the parents. And I had not seen Dr. Bryant for years, and didn't he show up with my book and read a poem? And that was so special. You see, I still remember. That was so special.
Yeah.
So do either one of you want to address about challenges or opportunities in the school system? There are so many.
Go ahead, Go ahead.
Well, I'll say this. There's opportunities and there is insight on what would be helpful, what would work more. And when I say that, the Detroit Public Schools and let's say the supported service area, we all had to have years of experience,
right,
or we had to have master's degrees. Some had specialist degrees. Others might have were working on their doctorate, and so you bought to the
right,
to the environment. Because I had worked for 12 years before I got to the school board with Michigan Rehabilitation Services.
Right.
I worked for the state, and as you know, Claudreen, is that the population of individuals that we work with in multiple handicap situations, we work with from 18 until. Okay, and with the special ed component, it was tied into the public school, so a student could remain in the school system until age 26.
As did my son.
Right,
Yeah.
and so it was a continuum of looking at services that could benefit the student and the population and community.
That's one of the things that so surprised me about Detroit Public Schools, because you don't know that unless you have. That's why I wanted to bring that out, that we have these services and that there are remarkable people in the educational system.
And you mentioned, and I want to add to what Ms. Martin was saying about these what you're asking about, these challenges.
Yes.
There are so many unforeseen challenges.
Yes,
and,
yes.
However, if you are prepared, and if you're patient, if you have a compassionate heart, and you're open to those, and with God's blessing, you can pick up on those signs. You're not only reading what they are saying and interpreting what they're saying, but you're also reading body language.
All right.
And giving you feedback.
All right.
Because we always ask for feedback. We want to know how we're doing.
Yes.
Because we're still learning in spite of our educational claim and where we are in terms of our careers and successes. We are still learners.
Yes.
So we can learn from the children. And so that
it's
is
very important. Yeah. The interesting thing too is that our life journey, we don't know where it's going to take us. We know where we want to go, okay? I had no idea that I would meet Claudreen, and that Claudreen also had been a special ed teacher, okay? And so she has some of those common mannerism and interests and love, okay? And so I had no idea that I would meet Dr. Bryant. When I was in graduate school at the University of Michigan, Dr. Bryant now, and that was the master's level graduate school, he or one of his representatives came to our graduate in education program and made a speech about community schooling too. And so, you know, you never know how well you're being educated or trained to take some of those same experiences and bring them back. But I'll tell you one of the things, I saw a group of social workers yesterday, and I talked to some of the psychologists who have retired or who are doing other things. And one of the things that I hear and we share is that we have to be licensed, we have to take additional coursework, we have to be certified, and almost all of us still have our certificates, and we're meeting the requirements of the state of Michigan because we know that the children and the parents can always benefit for what we have to share.
And that's why I wanted you all on the show. We're going to take a short break. Stick and stay and don't go away. We'll be right back.
Claudreen Jackson thought she had it all until she was faced with the challenges of raising an autistic child. Inspired by autism is her brutally honest journey filled with heartbreak and triumph. Get your copy and find the support you deserve today by visiting www.claudreenjackson.tv.
Thank you, thank you, thank you for sticking with us. Thank you for the privilege of your time. I've been talking to two of our remarkable educators here in the state of Michigan, and to point out that there is a lot of good going on in the public school system that sometimes people don't even know about. But the three of us have a project that will be completed in March, which is a book that my students inspired when I was teaching. The students inspired me to write the book, and part of the book is true. The first part of the book was actually what happened in the classroom, and they did their illustrations. And I retired 20 years ago, and that book has been on my mind for 20 years because my students, I told them we were going to get it published that year.
Right.
I thought it was going to be so easy.
Right.
But we're getting it published now, and the Purvis Foundation will be presenting it to Detroit Public School students, not to sell to them, to give to them for Reading Month in March. And Dr. Bryant and Ms. Martin are going to help me to distribute the book. So it'll be a combined project from the Wishing Well Foundation. We didn't talk about that. Can you give us a quick something?
It's a grief counseling.
Yes.
Counseling program, and it works directly with the children in the school system, and we work through the administration and all the support staff. But, and I should have known this, well, I did, but there's some limitations in what you could do when you're working within the system. But the family, the children, and family is so very important. So we are going to be moving in the direction of working more with the adults too, because they are very, very essential to the educational growth and development of their children, and to have a voice for their children.
Yes.
To navigate some of the situation that is happening. And so I'm just going to say, Claudreen, I guess, again, I made reference to our journey in life.
Yes.
I met Dr. Bryant, and he was a tough administrator, too, I have to say that. And then through him, I met you, and it sort of clicked. And now...
You did not meet me through him. You met me because you
Okay.
bought my book at the autism
Yes,
conference.
I
And
did.
you are the one that brought him
that's
back.
right.
and-
That's true. That's right.
Exactly.
That's right. Because I would share, tell.
Yes.
Because when we would go to conferences or
Yes.
workshops, we would always come back and share with our colleagues
Right.
and also with our immediate. Individuals who we're working
Right,
with.
right.
And so that's how that happened. And so fast forward, Dr. Bryant and I, we're still doing volunteer work and helping with the grief and loss program in about 2 of the schools. But we have the outreach ability to work with 3 of them. It's like, what is it that you want, Mrs. Martin? What are you looking for? And when Claudreen called me or contacted me and was asking about reading and books and whatever, I said, no problem, we'll make it happen.
Make it happen. And not only will we help distribute the book, we will go in and have done and will continue to do it, and really be excited about doing it even more now, reading your book to the children.
Yes, and I want to give them time to read the book, but then I want to go to the schools personally
Oh, yeah.
and get the feedback from
Oh,
the
Oh,
students
absolutely.
and pay them for their feedback. Thanks to Amazon and some other donations, I'm blessed to be able to do this. And this is the teachers. All teachers are hardworking.
Yeah.
Yes,
We
they
don't
are.
know if all teachers are effective or not, but
Right.
all teachers are
Yes.
hardworking.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah,
to do something for the teachers and the students,
Right.
done by Detroit public students,
Yes.
is it's been on my mind for 20 years. So God has
Yeah.
kept me here to age of 84, and I know He's saying you got to do that book. So
Can I say this? An 84-year, I've never seen an 84-year-old person look like you. You are truly blessed.
well,
Claudreen,
thank you.
and
And
it's
I want to
beautiful.
be
You're an
an
inspiration
Yes,
to
I
us.
want to be an example
Yeah.
that you can reach your 80s and still have life in you.
Absolutely.
And you know, the other part of it is that a lot of our children and our families, they have been raised, so they are still being raised
Yes.
by grandparents
Yes.
and great-great-grandparents.
Yes.
And it's interesting that, too, you are willing to say and tell your age because there are children, grandchildren, who are now being caretakers
Right.
of their grandparents or great-great-grandparents. And that's where a lot of the teaching and a lot of the love and a lot of the direction is still there, and it's helping to show how it can be done.
Thank you so much for tuning in, and until the next time, may the power of God protect you, may the love of God enfold you.